one of the most, or the more prominent NLP models is the present state to desired state model, right? Present state is where we're at, desired state is where we want to be, right? Where we want to be gives us a context for all goal setting. With me? Make sense? So we are not going to feel like we're moving forward or progressing if we don't have any clearly defined goals. Some people spend their entire life going round and round in circles, wanting to feel happy, thinking that's a goal. No, it's not. That is just really lame, or an expression of really lame self-servitude that doesn't even work. All right, so we begin to feel like we are progressing, advancing, moving forward in life when we can see that we're starting to reach milestones, goals that we set. All I want to do here, all right, is combine two different slides, this one and the one that follows, to give you a bit of a homework exercise, to make a decision about what it is that you are actually willing to pursue for the rest of your life, all right? I'm hoping that, without me even delving into this, you can see the value and the importance in this. I'm sure that you can. Right, so how I like to work with people to help them structure goals. Now, when I first started and set up a coaching practice, I used to work with really disempowered people. We've all got to start somewhere, right? So I was working back then with a lot of military guys and girls who left their forces. They weren't actually doing anything. Their greatest goal was to leave the military. So they left the military, they'd accomplished this goal, but didn't have a vision that was greater than this. So they ended up focusing on how sad they felt because they felt their lives were going nowhere. All right, disempowered state. So what I found, especially back in the start, when I first launched my kind of coaching, mentoring practice, I set up a social enterprise, kind of like a charitable organization for the purposes of serving these guys and girls. And what I grew to realize quite quickly was that the most effective way I could help former military personnel was by just helping them to establish a series of goals, right? But I needed to help them structure goals in a certain way so that they would remain committed to the course. If that makes sense, all right? Some people set goals that they simply, aren't inspired by, and then wonder why they give up halfway through. I've seen this, many self-help forums. People say, I started this training course, or I started reading this book, and then I gave up halfway through. Can someone help me understand why I gave up? Because you weren't inspired, or because you are lazy, or because you have no follow-through as a human being, something like that. Something to do, perhaps grit. Here's the thing, when we're clear on where we're going in life, it becomes significantly easier to identify the milestones that we must reach along the way to get to where we want to be. Did you catch that one, right? If not, go back and rewind. If we want to move forward effectively in life, it's imperative we get clear on where we want to go, because once we're crystal clear on what our ultimate long-term vision is, it becomes significantly easier to identify the milestones that we must reach along the way to get to where we ultimately want to be. All right? So how I like to set goals, and take this or leave it, it's entirely up to you. This is just how an approach that I found works for me. This isn't the NLP approach, right? This is just a Kane Ramsey approach. But NLP is essentially structured around goal setting. Richard Bandler proposed a well-formed outcome goal setting framework. And this is pretty much an entire teaching within itself that I built into the NLP practitioner course, all right? It really enables goal setting to come alive on such a vivid level. Everything starts with vision. Our vision is what we see, all right? There are people who will have served as part of an organization or a community, or if you've ever been part of a religious organization, you'll generally hear leadership teams talking about the vision. So it's very, very easy for some people to naively think that vision are for those people up there, for the certain chosen few. All right, they have a vision. No, it doesn't work like this. It's not like vision is a flashbang. It's not a gift from God. It's none of these things. It's just what we see. It's what we aspire to. It's what we want to accomplish with our life. For some people, vision is going to be more of a very, very loose idea. For some people, vision is going to be defined with absolute clarity. All right? If I were to share with you my life vision, what I'm looking to, is I'm looking actually to the day that I die. My life vision is, on the day that I die, will I be able to look back on my life and say I've done my best? I gave life my all. Will I leave behind me a legacy that some people somewhere might aspire to, regardless of all the stuff that came out of my mouth, regardless of my imperfections, my flaws, my failings, all these sorts of things. Did I run the race well? Did I build something meaningful that other people can benefit from once I'm dead and gone? Because if the answer is yes, then I've lived my life relatively effectively, right? It doesn't really matter who likes, who agrees, who disagrees. In fact, all those things are irrelevant. So my vision is the kind of legacy that I want to leave behind. So what is this? Well, I've just defined that, all right? I want to be remembered as, by some people, a guy who gave life his all, right? Because generally, those people are the kind of people who inspire us. They're the kind of people who make their way into the history books, all right? So is my priority in life to make my way into the history books for pride or arrogance reasons? Well, of course not, because if I make my way into the history books, once I'm dead, I'm gone, then I'm not going to be in a position to read it, so I'm not going to see it. So of course it doesn't make any difference to how I experience life today. All right, so no pride or egotistical needs involved here. It's a vision, makes my life seem relatively meaningful. So what's the long-term goals? Well, long-term goals become structured and defined in light of this long-term vision, all right, or this kind of lifetime vision. Well, what are the long-term goals? Life vision is kind of like the flag at the top, right? This is the end prize. Long-term goals, there can only be a few, all right? They must be in alignment with life vision. For me, my long-term goals are a sustainable training organization that trains people in the teachings that I've laid out over the years, all right? Going back thousands of years ago, the philosophers of days of old had their own proposals, perspectives that have shaped the thinking of the generalized masses for millennia now, right? Multiple millennia. Guys like Sigmund Freud, the great psychological contributors, pioneered their own various therapies, their own various schools of thinking, and I want to be one of those people. I think I probably already am one of these people, actually. I founded Achology, the Academy of Modern Applied Psychology. I'm not saying this thing to impress you. It's because, over the years that I spent studying all of the various schools of psychological thought, I was able to identify all of the interconnected themes, all of the bonds, all of the ties, the ideas that kind of just infiltrated all of the various perspectives in a way where eventually I could see, all of these different schools of thought, it's not that one is better than the other, some are right, some are wrong. They're all looking at the same thing, which is, how life is to be most effectively lived, just from different perspectives. So if I can learn from all perspectives, guess what happens? My perspective becomes enlarged, becomes enhanced, it becomes magnified, it becomes more grounded, it becomes more valuable. All right, that was the life that I wanted to live. Why? Because that's how I want to be remembered, right? Not by people as being some narrow-minded bigot or something like that. All right, so I want to build a training organization. I also want to build a strong family. So before starting my own family, I wanted to secure business matters, all right, i.e. build a couple of businesses that allow me to develop a financially sustainable life. Businesses that would allow me to step out of work for a season to invest into family life, to raise my kids well, right, because this was important to me, right? Building a business is important, but only as a means by which to fund what's really important to me, which is, establishing a family. All right, that's really important. What greater legacy could we have in life apart from our kids? All right, riddle me that one, Batman. The third long-term goal is social impact. I want to, and I'm in the process of developing a network of trained individuals who are each out there in the larger world, positively impacting their cultures, hometowns, cities, and nations on a global scale. All right? Who's to say that's a ridiculous idea, apart from the disempowered, restricted mindset? All right, as I mentioned earlier on, those who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are usually the ones who do. That was Steve Jobs who said that, not Kane Ramsey. So long-term goals. We need some long-term goals, but only as they fit into and support our long-term vision. All right. Some people set long-term goals that are nice ideas, but they're not in alignment with where they actually want to be. So they end up devoting their entire lives climbing the corporate ladder. They'll put 30 or 40 years into corporate life, completely disconnect and become estranged from their family and loved ones. Then they reach their late 50s or 60s and they realise, I've been superseded by the young whippersnappers who've just come out of Harvard or Oxford with some certificates and some accreditations. I'm now in my late 50s and 60s, and people are looking for those youthful innovators. I've been left on the shelf, and I've also just undermined the relationship I have with my family, with my kids, and I ain't getting no second chances at this one. My climbing this mountain has just come at the cost of all of that which is most and which is more important to me. Some people really mess up in life because they pay no attention to where they're going and to that which they're investing their time in or spending their time in. Incidentally, do you know that time is the most valuable commodity that we have in life? Some people spend all of their time trying to make money, and money's great, right? I love money, not because I'm a money-hungry money maker, right? Because money's an enabler. It allows us to, and it enables us to build things and construct things and pioneer things. Now, some people might not think that's cool, but if you were a pioneer or a builder, then you're going to think that's super cool, all right? The more money I have, the more I can build, the more opportunity I can create for other people. It's fantastic, it's great, it's lots of good fun, right? It makes life really rewarding, exciting, and fulfilling. All right, so my medium-term goal is to make as much money as possible. Why? Well, it's not because I'm a greedy man. No, it's because in the long term, as I'm older and a little bit wiser than what I am now, I can build and set in place new institutions, right, to leave this legacy behind, perhaps community learning centres, all this sort of thing. And why do I even aspire to this stuff? Andrew Carnegie, one of the forefathers of the Industrial Revolution, he was born 1 mile away from my home, where I live. Right? He went into the world and pretty much pioneered, or he was one of the founding fathers of industry, which transformed the world. He can do it. Was he Superman? No. He was just a guy with a bit of a backbone who wasn't scared to get out there and pioneer, take risks and ruffle some feathers along the way. And he did. And he created opportunity for millions of people around the world indirectly through his efforts. I want to do the same thing. I aspire to the same thing. What do you aspire to? Some people go through life, I just want to feel happy. Kind of like chalk and cheese, isn't it? Now we have context to appreciate the extent of mental health stuff. All right, in light of goals. So here we go, medium-term goals. Family, business, might be social enterprise. You might want to launch a charity. Sadly, I hear some people say, yes, I don't want to make money. I don't believe in making money. I'm just going to build a business that's centered around love. Good luck with that one. All right, short-term goals. We want to have systems in place. We want to have processes in place, strategic partnerships in place. We want to have a strong network of accountable relationships in place. We want strong, intimate relationships, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, family, where possible. And not everyone has the opportunity to build strong connections with their family because not all family members are open to this sort of thing. So we work with what we have, and we just kind of make most of what we have. What I'm saying is we're always going to have more short-term goals than what we are medium-term goals. And here's the thing, if we focus more on medium-term goals and short-term goals, medium-term goals and long-term goals than what we focus on short-term goals, then if we're not fulfilling short-term goals, then we're undermining our medium-term goals and our long-term goals, because it's the short-term goals that enable us to reach our medium-term milestone goals and ultimately our long-term goals. So this just gives us more of a natural order of things. That makes sense. Allows us to structure and systemize our lives. Right? For what purpose? For personal success, or personal accomplishment, for personal effectiveness, which is what neuro-linguistic programming is all about in a roundabout way. All right, so listen, I'm doing my best to break this down simplistically for you. When we look at life vision, we're looking at the big picture. When we look at short-term goals, we're looking at the specific details of how it is that we're essentially going to get there. Make sense? Comprendez-vous? We all need a starting point in life.